guys. Bear with me, I'm a little bit out of whack here. In the future, I really need to make certain that I have my medication shit under control because one particular medication going without for like 3 days has made me all too fuck. And I'm not used to it. I'm not. It's shitty to be that dependent. I've even thought about completely going off of it, but I think that it does more than uh, the pros outweigh the cons, essentially. But in any case, I'll try to go over basically a recommendation. This book, Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday, is incredible so far. It breaks things down into like, well, kind of what books do. They it deals with like Stoic philosophy and like the four virtues and all that. But it breaks things down into like little pieces of what it means to be stoic and to like basically have self mastery or self discipline. And I think that it is fucking awesome. I'll read a small excerpt here. What to choose? There's a lot of good stuff in here. I'm not really that far in, but it's already incredible. How about quit being a slave? He had landed in Normandy. He had beaten the Nazis and occupied Germany. He had published his memoirs and made a fortune. In 1949, all that was left was to conquer himself. So after a lifetime of battles and a lifetime of battles of will, Dwight Eisenhower gave himself the order: quit smoking. And just like that, he went to battle with a 38-year habit. In the scope of his life, this may not seem like much, but every addict knows that it can be harder to conquer an inner demon than any external enemy. Quote, few figures in public life have had Dwight D. Eisenhower's willpower, end quote, the biographer Gene Edward Smith wrote. A lifetime smoker of 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes a day, Eisenhower quit cold turkey and never touched a cigarette again. The only way to stop is to stop, he would tell an aide, and I stopped. No one made him, no one could have, but he saw it as his duty to enforce it on himself. He would add years to his life, and by protecting and mastering his body, it allowed him to be of service to the world, first leading NATO and then assuming the American presidency in a fraught and tense period. But what about you? What are you hooked on? What do you have trouble doing without? On an ordinary afternoon in 1949, the same year Eisenhower quit smoking, the physicist Richard Feynman was going about his business when he felt the pull to have a drink. Not an intense craving by any means, but it was a disconcerting desire for alcohol, completely divorced from the pleasure one earns as a reward for hard work. On the spot, Feynman gave up drinking right then and there. Nothing, he felt, should have that kind of power over him. He wanted to quit before he got to that place where we kick ourselves, as the lyrics go. Never again is what you swore the time before. At the core of this idea of self-mastery is an instinctive reaction against anything that masters us. Who can be free when they have lost, as one addiction specialist puts it, the freedom to abstain? We say that we're after autonomy, and yet we willingly hand ourselves over to habits that tell us more of me is all you need, that tell us we'll be unhappy, hungry, lonely, and pain weak without them. How pathetic is that? Show me a man who isn't a slave, Seneca demanded, pointing out that Even slave owners were chained to the responsibilities of the institution of slavery. One is a slave to sex, another to money, another to ambition. All are slaves to hope or fear. The first step, he said, was to pull yourself out of the ignorance of your dependency, whatever it happens to be. Then you need to get clean. Get clean from your mistress, from your addiction to work, from your lust for power, whatever. In the modern era, we might be hooked on cigarettes or soda, likes on social media, or watching cable news. It doesn't matter whether it's socially acceptable or not. What matters is whether it's good for you. Eisenhower's habit was killing him, as so many of ours are too, slowly, imperceptibly. But even if they weren't, even if they were harmless, why should we take orders from our belly or our crotches or the device that seems almost physically connected to us at this point? The body can't be in charge. Neither can the habit. We must be the boss. There's not much left, so I'll go ahead and finish this one. In some ways, the habit itself is less important than what we're really quitting, which is dependency. What the Buddhists call tanha, the thirst, the craving. Maybe with time, you can go back to recreational usage of whatever it is. Yet even to do that, you're first going to have to quit the habituation. It's not the sex or the likes or the drink, it's the need. And it's this need that is the source of suffering. Whether it's Amy Winehouse destroyed by drugs or Tiger Woods undone by his mistresses, the world grieves the many talented host destroyed by the parasite within them. The one that needed to be fed and fed and fed but was never full. The cost is not just personal but shared by all of us, and symphonies never written, feats never accomplished, and good never done. The potential of an ordinary day never fulfilled. Slavery, we have to remember, was a deeply inefficient and inferior economic system on top of its misery and cruelty. Why would you choose to be the one, especially to something that increasingly feels less good to do? Here's an illuminating test. If it was invented today, would you start it? If alcohol was introduced to you now for the first time with all its determinants and risks known, would you still take a drink? Knowing how much time you spend on it now, would you still download that app if it launched today? If you knew the promotion and the success will leave you divorced and unhappy despite your riches, would you still have set out for it all those years ago? But just because you started doesn't mean you have to continue. The fact that you didn't know then doesn't change the fact that you're choosing it now. Everyone has coping mechanisms, things that take the edge off, but soon enough, in enough quantities, they end up dulling our edge altogether. These things might comfort us, but they are not our friends. That's what Lou Gehrig's coach was trying to tell him when he caught Lou taking a nip before games for his nerves. You're not going to like where this road ends, he was saying. And it always seems to end in the same place. Whatever the bad habit is, whatever seems to be ruling your life, socially acceptable or not, you have to quit. Whether it's cold turkey or with help, you've got to get off this stuff, whatever it is. Everyone, no matter how powerful, has some bad habit they're wrestling with, but also that it's never too late to come back and beat it. Eisenhower was 58 years old. His habit itself was nearly middle-aged. That doesn't matter. What counts is what we do about it today. That we choose to stop being a slave. We choose freedom. We save ourselves so we can save and keep saving the world. So, just to kind of gloss over the things that it deals with here, just by going over the titles for the chapters. Ruling over the body, attack the dawn, the strenuous life is the best life, quit being a slave, which is what I read, avoid the superfluous, clean up your desk, just show up, sweat the small stuff, hustle, 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 slow down to go faster. Practice, then practice more. Just work, dress for success, seek discomfort. Jesus. Manage the load. Sleep is an act of character. What can you endure beyond the body? I won't read all of these. That's part 1. Part 2 is the inner domain, which is the temperament. Part 3 is the magisterial, which is the soul. But so far, I think this is incredibly useful to people in general, and I highly recommend it. Again, it is Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. He seems to have quite a few works related to Stoicism and self help in general. I haven't read anything else from him though, but give it a look. Frickin' borrow it from a local library or buy it. I think that it's really incredible shit. Thank you for your time.